Hello everyone, and thanks so much for joining us today. Welcome to our Learn with Google webinar for Enhanced Campaigns for Display. As I'm sure many of you have discovered, there's a lot of material to cover with Enhanced Campaigns, and in today's session, we'll be focusing primarily on Enhanced Campaigns for Display. I'm Meredith. I'm a display product expert covering APAC advertisers, and I'll introduce you to my colleagues momentarily. But before we get started, I want to go over a few housekeeping items and give you a quick tour of your console. On the left-hand side of your screen, you'll see a Q&A box. Please feel free to chat in your questions throughout the webinar, and we'll do our best to answer as many as we can at the end. You can also use this box if you're having technical issues, and we'll get you back on track. Due to the time limit, we may not be able to cover all of your questions, but we will follow up with you and respond to your questions after the webinar in an email. You don't have to wait until the end to ask your questions. You can start keying them into that chat box throughout the entirety of the session. In case you are unable to view the slides properly at any point in time, or you can't hear the sound properly during the presentation, normally this can be resolved by just refreshing your browser, and do please make sure to enable the pop-ups in your browser. Towards the end of today's session, we'll also have a short survey for you. Please take a few moments to fill this out. We really appreciate your feedback, and we really want to hear from you on ways that we can improve this webinar and those going forward. Also, do note that the webinar is being recorded, and we'll send the video to you in just about 1 week. For today's presentation, I'm joined by Linda Petta, a new solutions manager here in Australia and New Zealand who specializes in government, education, and travel sectors. Unfortunately, Talia is feeling a little bit under the weather, so you only hear my voice and Linda's voice on the webinar today. Just to make sure that you guys are paying attention, we're introducing ourselves with a couple of fun facts. So Linda, little do we know, used to actually play the saxophone in the school band. Now, unfortunately, her musical repertoire is limited to Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And Meredith, myself, once played semi-professional basketball in Italy and was the token American on the team. The team also threatened to have the last name on my jersey say token as opposed to my last name, but we're not going to answer any Q&A questions about these. That's for an entirely different webinar. Anyway, moving right along to the agenda. We'll be introducing Enhanced Campaigns for Display and then go into an overview of powerful bidding, use cases, and then what this looks like in your account when you go into AdWords. We'll be taking questions in a live Q&A session at the end of both of these two sections. We're really excited to introduce Enhanced Campaigns for Display and show you how our new powerful bidding tools can help advertisers and marketers reach their customers in the multi-screen world in a simpler, more scalable way. And now I'll hand it over to Linda to walk us through this first section of the webinar.
Thanks, Meredith. So let's start off today's discussion talking about your customers. Every day, they interact with around 14 different digital touchpoints. They use these touchpoints to research, compare, and purchase products, and they're actually considering, on average, 10 different sources of information before making a purchase. There are literally dozens and dozens of channels that can influence these sales. And now we're doing all of this, but we're doing it on the go with our mobile devices. To give you an example, I was walking home from work the other day, and I noticed an Australian department store had a QR code in their store window. While I was walking by, someone stopped, scanned the QR code, paused to look at their phone, and then they proceeded to walk into the store. As consumers, this is our new reality. It's how we now behave in this always-on world. We've become part of what eMarketer called the multi-audience in a webinar on 2013 trends. The multi-audience is multitasking and multi-screen media creatures, who if we're not on one device, we're usually on another. This represents an inherent opportunity for marketers to engage at all times. This is great news. You can now reach your audience throughout the day and influence them at the exact moments that matter. These opportunities translate into real results for our advertisers, like our friends who scanned the QR code outside of the Myer store and then proceeded in store to make a sale. In this new, constantly connected, multi-channel world, determining the best way to reach the right person with the right ad at the right time is even more complex than ever. And in the not too distant future, there will be even more devices. There's going to be wearables like Google Glass, mobile phone watches, even smarter cars, and much, much more. This new breed of smart device will be even more embedded into everyday lives in a more seamless way, producing increasingly more complexity as everything becomes more and more digital. To add to the complexity, these millions of people are leaving indicators of things that they like or things that they're interested in. From their online activity and all their interactions, we can infer what their preferences are based on what they search for, or what type of sites they visit, or the type of ads they click on. We can determine if someone is a sports enthusiast versus a travel enthusiast. The web allows a two-way communication with a connected consumer and makes it simple to gather these signals. In this age of constant connectivity, we're seeing an exponential increase in the number of audience signals and data points that are being created. So as marketers, how can we tap into these opportunities? And how can we use data to ensure that we're showing the right ad exactly at the right moment? The key totally lies in relevance. Although consumer behaviour may have changed, the basics of marketing are exactly the same. The more relevant the message, the better the results. In order to cut through the noise, you need to be smart about understanding who your customer is, what are their wants and needs, and how can your product or service actually help them. Ads still need to inform and persuade, and they need to be relevant to their context. And when we say context, we don't just mean purely where they are online, but it's where they are online. Where are they in relation to a store? What time of day is it? Is it before? Is it after lunch? And what device are they on? But why is context so important? In today's constantly connected world, someone's intent may differ depending on signals such as time of day, location, or device. When I'm on imdb.com on my desktop, I'm typically reading reviews of the new movies that are out. I'm trying to decide which one I'd like to see this weekend. However, when I'm on my mobile device, 3 blocks away from a cinema at 7 p.m. on a Sunday, I'm probably looking for tickets to buy right there and then. This context and audience information is incredibly valuable, but only if you're poised to collect it and turn the thousands of data points that you amass into a meaningful insight that you can then act upon. To reflect on the present, we're taking a page from the past. Albert Einstein once said, "Know where to find the information and know how to use it. That is the secret of success." And it is true as ever today and key for engaging at the moments that matter. Enhanced campaigns for display are built to help apply insights to your advertising campaigns. Enhanced campaigns help you reach people in the moments that matter across all devices with smarter ads that are relevant to your audience's intent and context. But what does this all mean when we're actually looking at display ads? In search, as you know, we use keywords as a signal of the user intent. For example, a baby store can reasonably use a search query for baby cribs as a signal a user is in the market for a new crib. However, now with enhanced campaigns, we can add contextual signals like device, location, and time of day to show an ad for their local store when a user is searching on a mobile device just a few blocks away. As you know with display campaigns, advertisers don't just use keywords as a signal of intent. Instead, they use a variety of signals to show the right ad to the target audience. In our example here, instead of using a search for baby cribs, a display advertiser could use demographics, remarketing, interests, topics, and placements to reach their target audience online. And with enhanced campaigns, we can combine all of these signals with context, like location, device, time of day, to craft the perfect bid strategy based on the value different audience segments represent to your business, all within one signal campaign. And what's so exciting about enhanced campaigns? Whether we're talking about search signals, display signals, or context, you can now use all these signals to define and value different customer segments. And now advertisers can easily do this in one simple campaign. Please note that for some of you with creatives in multiple languages, you may still need to build out separate campaigns for each of your languages. So let's walk through the same example using our baby supply site. This customer now wants to use insights that they know about their consumers to inform their advertising campaigns. They know that parents are online between 6 and 9 a.m. and they prefer to set lower bids for users in the US as shipping is more expensive there. Their customers are interested in home and garden and books and literature, and they've noticed people on specific home sites convert very well. Finally, they know that people between 25 to 34 spend 3 times more than the average customer. Now, with enhanced campaigns, they can combine contextual signals on the campaign level, like location and time of day, with display ad group bid adjustments to reach the right audience with the right bid strategy. Let's look at another example. A bookseller who knows that male customers spend less than females can set their bid 50% lower for ads shown to men. Or they can increase their bids 20% from 6 a.m. to 2 p.m. when they think customers are most interested. Or they could bid 30% less for people who are more than 5 miles away. Or they could be doing all 3 of these at once. There's no need to design hundreds of campaigns to cover all possible groupings. Now you can just make one campaign and raise or lower your bid for each variable. This leads to the ability to target really granular and have precise messaging at scale. And it's delivering better results. As we know and research has shown, using data to target your ads will always give you better conversion performance results than not using data at all. Contextual, demographic, and behavioral data all improve performance over untargeted ads. However, the ultimate uplift in conversion performance can be seen when all this data is combined. We could potentially see a phenomenal 5,000% uplift. These are really compelling results, which is also why 91% of marketers surveyed in a DMA survey on big data sung the praise of interpreting data to drive greater campaign conversion rates and gain insights into consumer behavior. And this is exactly where enhanced campaigns and powerful bidding come into play. Going back to my earlier point on data, they allow you to use all your customer insights at the same time like you've never been able to before. I'll now hand you over back to Meredith, who will take us through more powerful bidding.
Great, thanks Linda. Now on to the new powerful bidding features on the Google Display Network. And why are we talking about this? Well, it's because powerful bidding are the tactics and tools that we're going to use to turn these insights that Linda just walked through into action. Also, just to add, I've been working on the GDN here at Google for about 4 years. And in terms of applying data to achieve better results for customers, this is probably one of the coolest features, in my opinion, that Google has released to date. But I might be a little bit biased, so I'll let you make that decision for yourselves once we go through this section. Now, before we go into the tactics, what we're going to do is walk through these new tools, in particular the bids that you'll use to achieve this. And I'll just walk through and introduce these over the next couple of slides first. All right, so with powerful bidding, there are 3 types of bids. Keep in mind, for those of you that do manage the accounts on a day-to-day basis, a lot of the functionality hasn't changed all that much. Just some of the names and how we'll be talking about them has changed. So we're not reinventing the wheel here. We're just kind of renaming a couple of things and then jazzing it up a little bit. So the first type of bid that you need to know about is your default bid. And this is very similar and near identical to what we had in legacy campaigns before powerful bidding and enhanced campaigns. What I mean is that these are your ad group level bids that we will use when there are no other bids set in your ad group. And keep in mind that when you set up any ad group, whether you do it through AdWords, AdWords Editor or another API, for both search and display campaigns, you have to set a default bid So really, this really isn't anything new. The second type of bid is custom bids. So these as well are very similar to a functionality that we had in legacy campaigns. For instance, if you had an inline dollar or an inline currency bid for one of your keywords or for one of your placements, this is what we're calling custom bids today. The key difference for powerful bidding, though, is that you can only set these custom or currency level bids for one targeting type for each ad group. Here's an example. So let's say you've got a keyword contextual campaign. You've set your custom bids on your keywords based on their conversion performance. Maybe you've got a $2 bid for one keyword, you've got a $3 bid for another keyword, maybe you've got a couple keywords with no bids, so they take your default. But now you're going through the process of optimizing and you see a couple of placements that are performing really well for you. So this is one of those instances where you would now use something that's called bid adjustments to manage the performance of those placements. And bid adjustments really are just what the name implies, adjustments to a bid. For instance, you could bid 50% higher on a placement that performs really well for you, going back to my previous example, and 40% lower on a placement that's too expensive. Bid adjustments are different from custom bids because you don't set a dollar amount. Instead, you set a bid, you bid higher or lower by a specified percentage. Now, what kind of bids can you use for which situations now that we've familiarized ourselves with the three? For keywords, it's very easy. If you want to bid on keywords, you can always use custom bids. And by that, I mean, again, that specific dollar amount for an individual keyword, like, say, 70 cents. You can use keywords without adding any bids, in which case we would use the default ad group level bid instead. The one thing to note here is that you can't set bid adjustments for keywords. This is the one exception to that rule. For all other display targeting, you can choose between custom bids, bid adjustments, or no bids. If you choose custom bids on one targeting type, you can use bid adjustments on any other targeting you use in that exact same ad group. This is quite new, so if some of you are struggling to grasp the concept, consider this when we start walking through these next couple of examples. I was giving a training here at Google and discussing with one of the account managers at the end what she thought of it. Thank God she said it was good. And she actually re-explained the concept of the three different bid types to me. And what she said was this. The default bid is like your foundation. You have to use it when you're setting up the structure of your ad group. Then, if you want to, you can use custom bids as a secondary foundation. And then bid adjustments are just basically anything that you would build on top of it. So I thought this was a fairly simple and a fairly good way of explaining how you can start to think of how those three different bid types interact with one another. So now let's walk through an example to see how these bid types work together and how they help simplify and scale campaign management. Some advertisers today have great insights about their customers and online behaviors. For instance, take a look at this hotel booking website. They know a lot about their customers. For instance, they know that business travelers typically convert better for them and that they book between 9 a.m. and 6 p.m. They know that customers who come from far away generally stay longer and provide more value to them. They know that customers who are interested in hotels and air travel generally converts best, and that people between the ages of 35 and 44 typically spend more than the average. Also, looking in their AdWords account, they know that visitors from particular travel sites generally convert, but not as well as visitors from other types of sites. These are great insights to have, and I imagine that many of you on the call today have these exact same insights in addition to many others. And in the past, admittedly, it wasn't always easy to apply this type of knowledge to existing campaigns. But now with the combination of enhanced campaigns for display and powerful bidding, it's really easy to use and apply all of these insights in your display campaign and use them to make your advertising more effective and more efficient. Here's an example of what this campaign would look like for that hotel booking advertiser. For their campaign, Destination Germany, they were using keyword targeting before, and they had many keywords such as Hotels Munich, as we see here. They had done keyword bid optimizations in the past and are bidding 75 cents on the keyword Hotels Munich. But now with enhanced campaigns, they can apply all those other customer insights that we just went through to their campaign by using bid adjustments. And this is great because it allows them to optimize their campaign and derive better value from it. Not only is this campaign now optimizers for users who match all of these criteria, their most valuable users, but the campaign is also optimized for those who only match some of the criteria. Let's go through an example of what that would look like. Here's Emily. It's her lunch break. She's in Australia. She's 36. She's currently on a website about hotels in Munich because she can't wait to plan her vacation to Germany. And she's also been pretty recently and frequently looking around different websites about air travel. As you see, the great thing about the enhanced campaigns and powerful bidding is that the campaign that we just looked at for that most valuable user is now completely optimized for Emily as well, even though she doesn't match all of the criteria. To reiterate, by applying all your customer insights with enhanced campaigns and powerful bidding, you can optimize your existing campaigns to get the best value for each individual audience. Now let's have a quick look at what this setup might look like in AdWords. You can find the display bid adjustments on the Display Network tab in the AdWords interface, the exact same place where you manage your display advertising today. Starting with placements, the hotel booking advertiser added a negative 50% bid adjustment on the particular travel website that proved to be too expensive in terms of ROI. To do this, they enabled bid adjustments and then added a negative 50% bid adjustment for this placement. For interest categories, the advertiser added a positive bid adjustment of 25% for hotels and 15% for air travel. And this, again, was based on the customer insights that we just looked at. And finally, for age, the advertiser has added a positive bid adjustment of 40% for the age grouping from 35 to 44. By doing all this, the advertiser has converted these customer insights into bid adjustments and enriched their display campaign to drive better performance. As I mentioned before, I hope you guys are as excited as I am by the opportunities that we've presented to you today. And as you can see, you are now able to use all of your customer insights to improve your display campaigns. A question you might have now is, well, Meredith, this is great, but where do I get these insights from? And look no further than your own AdWords account for a starting place. Today, there are a lot of really great data points directly within the AdWords UI. It's just a matter of looking for them. If you run any type of display campaign, for example, keyword or interest targeted, you see in the placement section of the Display Network tab which placements your ads have automatically been shown on. You can see the performance of your ads on these placements expressed in all the metrics that marketers and advertisers care about, like click-through rate, conversion rate, clicks, impressions, and so on and so forth. These performance insights provide the foundation for using bid adjustments to either grow reach on successful placements or be more cost-effective on others. But it doesn't stop there. Also think about insights that you have about your customers, recalling the notion of that two-way communication that Linda mentioned in the opening. Maybe you have a customer relationship management system from which you know that people with certain characteristics respond really well to your ads and bring you more value. You can also go into your display campaign and apply these insights to improve its value. Also, if you're a Google Analytics user or you use other website analytics solutions, these packages can help you get additional insights that you can use to help improve your display campaign. Obviously, we're also working hard on the product side to continually bring you guys more insights into how your campaigns are performing. So watch this space. A quick note on mobile targeting as well. Some marketers have display ads that use specific device capabilities like touchscreens on tablets or smartphones. For those messages, advertisers are able to select specific mobile operating systems, specific device models, and carriers to ensure that they are able to deliver the right message to the right audience. Also, these features do support some specific use cases. For example, advertisers who are in the telecom industry might want to target specific carriers and deliver a specific message to that audience. And these features are unique to display when you are looking to set up your new enhanced campaigns. Now, where do you get started? If you're right after the webinar, what do you do first? Well, here we've wrapped up a couple of the best practices that we've assembled with advertisers to date to help get you guys started on the right foot. Now, we've discussed quite a few tactics and concepts for applying insights to enhance your display campaigns. And the first thing that you want to do is make sure that you're doing the basics. Use those campaign level bid adjustments, incorporating device, location, and time-related insights into your bidding strategy. Consider things like peak device usage hours, store hours, top geographies, and all of these are available within existing AdWords reports, either on that main campaign settings tab or the dimensions tab. Second, strategically choose which bidding strategy you want to use. For super easy campaign management, the default bid is still a really good option. And by this, I mean managing your bid at the ad group level. In fact, this is what the majority of our advertisers are doing today. However, if you want more control and want to start understanding the nuances of performance management within your own campaigns and ad groups, you may want to consider taking that bidding strategies to the next level and start using those inline custom bids. Third, we recommend beginning to test with a few bid adjustments based on customer insights. For brand marketers and advertisers, I would highly recommend starting with the age and gender bid adjustments to see how you could grow reach and engagement with your target audiences. For your performance marketers, consider bid adjusting on top performing placements. That's a no-brainer and what we've always recommended traditionally. And also consider interest categories that relate to your product or service. One really good example, in fact, of an advertiser I was speaking to yesterday is a travel advertiser who knows that typically when someone visits their website, they've been doing a lot of comparison shopping, they've been looking at a lot of hotel booking websites, they've been looking a lot of destination websites, and generally speaking, that's the type of user that perfectly aligns with that interest category of travel and hotels and accommodation and flights. That travel advertiser is considering applying those interest categories to like their remarketing campaign and their keyword contextual campaign to see if bidding up and reaching out to those more engaged users specifically will enhance their performance. So I would challenge you as well to kind of look at the campaigns you're running, look at the brands that you're running with, and see if that type of tactic could be used as well. Also, don't try to do everything at once. You always want to make sure that you'll be able to measure and understand the impact of the changes that you make to your account. So try making a couple of small adjustments first, and then iterate from there. Fourth, you want to make sure that you're showing the right ad to the right person. And this goes without saying, really, but ensure your messaging and tracking is set up for the multi-screen world. Use mobile preferred ad settings to show custom messages and ad formats to users on the go, and tailor your ads to the demographics most interested in your product. Lastly, track and iterate. Use your insights and the data accrued in your account to optimize with bid adjustments and to improve ROI and increase the efficiencies of your campaign. To wrap up, Enhanced Campaigns makes it a lot simpler to get the right ad to the right person at the right place and time. They combine intent and context, so ads appear in the moments that matter based on where the users are and who they are. Advertisers are now able to use their customer insights to improve their display campaigns and get the best value for each audience that they want to target in a scalable way. This, in turn, leads to improved performance and reduced complexity. We're really excited to bring these new features and functionality to advertisers, and we hope that you find it easy to use Enhanced Campaigns to achieve even better value and even better ads for your customers.
Thanks, Meredith, and thanks everyone for joining. You'll hopefully have just seen a survey link just pop up on your screen. If you could please fill that in, it would be really great. It's really going to help us continually improve our webinar series and to make these better and more beneficial for you guys. We're going to jump straight into the Q&A section. As mentioned at the beginning, we're going to try and get to all of them. If not, we will follow up with some answers for you. Just jump straight in there. Okay, so we have a really great question here. Is it still best practice to separate search campaigns from display campaigns? Yes, now more so than ever, it's critical if you'd like 100% control over your budget and your targeting, because the capabilities for bundled search and display campaigns and display-only campaigns differ dramatically. So, for instance, in bundled campaigns, your search keywords may automatically apply both for targeting Google searches and on related content and websites on the Google Display Network. This effectively makes those campaigns a Google search plus a keyword contextual campaign on the GDN. So doing that, you're not able to set currency or custom bids on any other display targeting. However, in display-only campaigns, with Enhanced Campaigns, you can set your custom bid on any targeting type, as Meredith mentioned. So you're not limited to targeting only by keywords. And you're able to control exactly how much budget you're allocating between your Google Display and your search campaigns. So it's definitely still best practice to split those out. Meredith, did you have one you wanted to answer?
Yeah, and I'm going to take a stab at the one that James submitted. So James, first of all, thanks for your question. So James asked, is there a way to monitor overall bid adjustments? James, I'm going to make a couple of assumptions here on what you mean by this question. So to rephrase it, if you've got multiple bid adjustments, say at the campaign level, maybe for time or location, and then you also bid adjustments on your display targeting, is there a way to see your overall bid adjustments? Is there a way to see those final combinations of all of your bids? Unfortunately, at the moment, there isn't, and it isn't any sort of calculator that allows you to see this combination of your bids that you've set. And keep in mind, though, that monitoring these is really important because the bid adjustments that you set essentially create a linear math equation. It'll take into consideration your location, and then on top of that, the device that you're on, and on top of that, any of the adjustments that you may have set for display. So a base bid, for instance, of $2 could quickly become a $4 bid if you put 100% bid adjustment on H. And then on top of that, that could become $8 if you've got another 100% bid adjustment on mobile devices. So keep in mind that the product team is looking at implementing this type of feature for campaigns, but until then, we've got a couple of suggestions when you are setting up these campaigns and experimenting with the adjustments. I would suggest first keeping track of your highest and lowest base bid, and then also your highest and lowest base bid adjustment, because at least then you'll understand the bidding thresholds that you're going to be working with in your ad groups and campaigns. Also, I would recommend testing with relatively small increases or decreases initially. And this is also a strategy that we would recommend even when you are suggesting increasing the currency bid. It's really no different than a strategy that you would have used historically when you were optimizing ad groups. All right, Linda?
Great. So I had a question, which is something I touched on earlier, about what do I do if I have creative in different languages. So we have this a lot, and if you have campaigns that are using creative with different languages, it still makes sense for you to have multiple campaigns. And the reason why is it's going to allow you to have better control over your budget across the geos and the languages. And it'll also ensure that your users are actually going to see the right ad in the right language. So if an ad group has creatives in multiple languages, the system will serve the ad with the best performance, which is the click-through rate, and not consider the creative language. So we definitely suggest having those split out.
Okay, I've got another one on here from Nigel. So Nigel asks, how does Google understand the age and gender of individuals across the Google Display Network? So in order for understanding the age and gender of users on the Google Display Network, this is based on the inferred demographics of that individual. So what types of websites have they been looking at? How often are they in those websites? How frequently are they on those websites over the past 30 days? And then how does that compare, generally speaking, to individuals across male and female? And then how does that compare to individuals also in individual age brackets? And from that, Google is able to generally bucket its users into different gender categories and also into different age buckets.
And we have a question with display. So you can target by device type and carrier, but you can't do this on search. So that's correct, which is why we talked about splitting out campaigns. So in display campaigns on the setting tab, you're actually going to have the option to modify advanced mobile and tablet settings. So in there, you're going to have the options to target mobile operating systems like iOS and Android, device, model, and carrier. And this option does not exist for search campaigns.
All right, we've got another one here on Display Campaign Optimizer and Conversion Optimizer for those of you that use auto optimization tools with Google to manage your campaigns. So for those of you unfamiliar with these tools, these are basically bidding features that you can turn on within any given campaign that will automate the bidding process for you. They're really good solutions, especially Display Campaign Optimizer or DCO, for advertisers with a low price point conversion and a more simplistic conversion funnel like lead gen. View of a critical page is a really big one for some of our branding advertisers or sign-up pages, for instance, like some of your daily deals clients. So the question is how do these automated bidding tools, DCO and Conversion Optimizer, play into enhanced campaigns for display? So keep in mind that both DCO and CO will continue to auto-optimize based on the conversion data that you're seeing in your campaigns in AdWords. However, for campaigns running on DCO and CO, you cannot set any bid adjustments for these campaigns. Whenever you enable DCO or CO, it essentially automates all bid adjustments that you could ever set and does it for you. The one exception here, though, that is worth noting is that if you add a negative 100% mobile bid adjustment, and adding a negative 100% mobile bid adjustment is the equivalent of saying, I don't want to run on any mobile devices, I'm only going to run on desktop and tablet. And when you set this in a campaign, either a normal campaign or a campaign that's running DCO and CO, that campaign will not run on mobile devices.
And a really important question here, when is the EC upgrade date for display? That someone said they heard that it's not the same date as search. The upgrade date for search and display are exactly the same. It will happen July 22nd. So you should upgrade all your campaigns by that date, just so you give yourself enough time to start playing with the interface, seeing all the different features that are available in it, and get up to speed so you'll have some best practices. So we've just got one last question that we're going to get to.
All right, so the other one, for those of you that are particularly eager to start using bid adjustments in your accounts, is when is the new AdWords Editor going to be released? So AdWords Editor does currently support custom bids for display and all display targeting. The one feature that it doesn't support at this moment is the display bid adjustment. However, this will be coming in the next release of AdWords Editor, which will be the week of May 14th and 15th. All right. Thanks, everyone who attended the webinar. If you do have any lingering questions, please continue to send them through in the chat. We'll actually go back even at the end of the webinar and answer all of those for you and follow up over email. So again, thanks so much for attending, and hope to see you at the next Google webinar.
Thanks for your time. Bye.